Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's In Review. I'm Steve. John is not here right now. He is currently AFK. So I'm running the show today, but I'm not alone. I am joined today via telecast on Discord with my good friend Ratsu. Ratsu, thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
So, pretty much, we're going to be reviewing something that I have been wanting to do for a while. This is might be this might be one of those subjects where it's one of those things where it's a game that has been under a lot of controversy, a lot of is it still good? Is it fun? Is it worth it? Um, which is of course subjective. So mainly that this is something that I wanted to get into, and if this is something that you guys want to see more of, this is our second game review on this channel. So I would love to go deeper into Star Citizen because there's so much that I wanted to get into, but there's only so much that I could cram. I recorded 4 hours of gameplay and kind of crunched it down into about two, um, as best I could. I kind of I literally streamed it and recorded the gameplay, and then I stopped streaming, ate some food, came back, and I tried to crunch it all together. I was supposed to start this a little earlier, but we started a little late because I was crunching the videos. So yeah, so this is going to be something fun. Ratsu, how you feeling today, bud?
I'm feeling okay. This is a game that I haven't really thought about in like years, so this is gonna be fun.
Good. And that being said, let me plug in my headphones real quick because I see the audio on the mic coming up on the whenever it comes through the speakers, and I'm a big old smooth brain. But why don't you give us a little bit of background about like what you do as far as like gaming, like what kind of games do you are you playing? I know you work a lot with Blender and 3D rendering and stuff like that. So just give a little insight on on that.
So, I'm mostly just a freelance game developer and artist. That's what I've been doing for years now. I, I did do a little bit of work on some online games in the past. Not a whole lot. So, like, my professional experience is not quite as expansive as some people's. Especially somebody that's in the chat, Desalias, who is far more experienced professionally than I am. But I've done a lot of freelance work, and I've been around the game development sphere for a couple of decades now, actually. Hello.
Deselius, welcome. All right, fair enough. The yeah, I wanted to get because while we were streaming this, you were kind of giving some insight on the environment, textures, different things like that, and that's kind of. And I know we talked about bringing you onto the podcast before, especially when we were. I think it was the last episode of in review when we were playing Warhammer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that being said, let's just jump right into this then. So I'm gonna switch to this guy, and I'm gonna switch to this guy, and I'm just gonna play the video that I pretty much threw together. So for those of you who don't know, Star Citizen is a space simulator meets first-person shooter. It's exploration meets it's pretty much like what games it brings certain aspects of like Eve Online and Starfield, and I think even some aspects of like Skyrim, where
Kind of, yeah.
you kind of blaze your own trail. You can literally do whatever you want, whether it's just bounty hunting or crafting or hauling things. You could be just a space truck driver, mining. So here I kind of wake up in my ship. When you play Star Citizen, you if you log out while laying down on your ship, you pretty much wake up there when you log back in, which is a really cool aspect of it that I really enjoy. This is my favorite ship. I love this because I have 6 holding cells. I mainly try to run as a bounty hunter, so those are holding cells in the back of my ship. And it's really cool. I'm sorry, go on.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but there was
No.
something I wanted to interject with about the bed thing.
Yes.
So it's funny that you say that you like that aspect. I personally don't.
Really?
And the reason why is because I've played a lot of like online survival games. The biggest one that comes to mind is Ark Survival Evolved. And they have a thing where it's like when you leave the game, your body is there and it is unconscious.
So that
Another
doesn't
game-
happen here, really. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So I don't like it's not. So this is actually a really cool thing. How the light from the planet. So that's a gas giant called Crusader that I'm flying above right now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So like the light from that's like kind of reflecting off the planet. And there's an example of that later as well when I have my light on my shoulder or something. It's the door is red and it kind of reflects onto the silver on the other side with that reddish hue. It's little details like that I really think are really cool. So this is actually a heads up your heads up display. This is like your start menu or whatever where you can kind of check your contracts. You can go through maps. You can check your reputation. So when this game first came out, I played it and it was just Crusader and Port Olisar, which was like the satellite type thing where you could just kind of get out of your ship and do stuff. Before it was the only missions you could do was actually a mission I'm about to pick up right now here, but you could do things like delivery, like you could be like on Futurama, like, hey, I'm a delivery boy, but in space. And yeah, you just pick up these missions for a certain amount of credits. Oddly enough, delivery actually pays pretty well. Salvaging is another big thing where if you have a ship that you can break down scraps of like other ships or whatever even in space or in an area on a planet, you can just scrap it down. You use a part of your ship to like cut into pieces, and then a tractor beam to bring it into your hangar to then haul it off and distribute it to a trade station or something where you can sell it for credits. This mission I'm about to pick up is the easiest 10,000 credits I ever made. So this is how the game was when I first started playing it. It didn't look as crisp as it does now. I'm running this on an RTX 4060 Ti, so it only has 8 gigs of video memory, but I have 32 gigs of RAM, a Ryzen 7 3800X processor, and I'm running this at pretty good frames on high graphics. So
Yeah.
I think it looks great, and the lighting and everything is awesome. So right here I'm about to go to that uplink. So before this was like the only thing you could do is just fly around and restore all these uplinks on these satellites to get credits to buy weapons or armor or ships, which were a fraction of what you could get today back then. So a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's been in pre-alpha for 10 years, which is true, but I mean, they're still adding a lot to it. They didn't have nearly as many planets and flyable ships and all this stuff as they did in the beginning.
So I do kind of want to touch on that. If there's like a space here that I can do that. I know you have a lot of things that you want to say.
No, I'm going off the cuff, man. This is totally.
Okay.
I didn't write anything down. I'm just pleased to be here. Oh yeah, this was
So,
cool. This is like a little orbital marker thing that you can like fly up to. Like it's a little.
you mentioned the development time, and I will have to say that for a game of this scale, 10 years. What do they have? Like 1,300 employees or something like that. I can't remember. I'm literally speaking out of my ass because I only like looked it up like the other day. Um,
As far as
but
I know, it is.
it's
It
not a
is.
super big team for
Yeah,
this kind of game.
it's not exactly a skeleton crew, but it's not exactly like like a big
Yeah.
crew. So
So
I think
like,
that's one of the things that where people are like, oh, this game's taking so long to finish. It's like, well, they, you know,
well, yes and no. Like I feel like 10 years, 1,300 people, 10 years. Like it's not abysmally slow, but I feel like at the same time, as much as they've done with the game, it kind of makes sense when you think about it.
hmm
And we also don't know what their turnover rate is either, so that's another thing to factor in.
yeah. This is one another thing that I love is like spacewalking.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I love that like that's Crusader, that gas giant that we just flew away from. Like one of the other great things I love about this game is like you could be on the surface of a planet and look up at like a moon or a space station that's in orbit, and you can keep your eye on that object in space, and it'll still be there. And you get in your ship, break atmosphere, head towards it, and you just see it slowly getting bigger and bigger as you get closer
Yeah.
to it. It's little things like that where it's like it makes it that much more immersive, and that's I think a big selling point for me for this game is how immersive it really is. And obviously like the really good graphics are a big part of the immersion because it looks great, and like little details in this game, like the little scratches in the paint and stuff. And
Well, I mean,
uh,
you know how much I like that kind of stuff because I gabbed about that in Cyberpunk for like an hour straight the other day.
yeah, I was playing Cyberpunk the other day, which Ratsu was kind enough to introduce me to mods. I haven't used Nexus mods since like Skyrim, but
And somebody in the comments or somebody in the chat also corrected me. Uh, Eltrium, Eltrium 1, I believe that's how you say it,
yes,
started with nothing but 5 people and was 4 to 500 for years and recently blew up to 1,000. Okay,
okay,
so up to 500 people, like, that's actually kind of impressive for a 10-year development period with 500 people. Because like even some of the earlier screenshots, and I hate saying like, oh, look at the early screenshots, this looks so good, because we don't know what kind of like baking and post processing and stuff
yeah.
like that goes into those screenshots.
I also
And
did.
let's be honest,
I hate to cut you off, but I also did little things like this here where I just like as I was waiting for this comm link to reboot, I just did like I do little things like this where I'm just like looking at the armor, looking at the detail and little things like that.
I love it. I think it's cool. It's something neat to look at in the
Absolutely.
background too.
Eltrian, thank you for chiming in on that, by the way. Because I don't know a lot about the development. I don't know a lot. Like, I just know that like when I played this when it first came out in pre-alpha, I started out as a backer with like it was a $35. I think I started out with the Aurora ship. I think it was the Aurora MS, or so it's one of the starter ships. And then I eventually I got a gray cat for mining, and then I got a the Aegis Avenger Stalker, which you can see that'll be spacewalking up to right now. I love that ship. And then I got a Merlin. It was like $15, and it's like a little snub fighter. And I was like, oh hell yeah! And there's actually a ship on here. It's called a Carrack that a buddy of mine actually bought. It was a few $100 in real money that he got, and I was able to put my Merlin in the. It's such a big ship that it has a top. It's a dorsal opening bay that I could just fit my ship into it, and but it also has like a huge maw of a opening at the front too, where you can put in a vehicle or something, and then the back is just like another. It's just a huge fucking ship, and it's really cool. But it's one of those ships where like there's some ships on here where like you need someone at the helm, you need someone in engineering, you need someone in tactical, you need someone in comms. Like there's a whole lot going on a ship, and then on top of that you have all these turrets that people can man. You have automated turrets. It's just it's fun, and like especially when you have an organization, which is pretty much like this game's version of a guild. It just makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, and like this is the kind of stuff that we would do in Eve. Like it, granted, Eve takes a little bit more, like let's say a lot more spreadsheets to play, but it does have a lot in it that reminds me of Eve. Like it's like I said to you, I think it was earlier today. Star Citizen feels to me like what I wanted out of Eve, but at the same time, it still has too much that reminds me of Eve for me personally. It's good. I'm complimenting it, but insulting it at the same time.
And that's honestly, if you're not making something that is causing that much of a star. I mean, granted, you don't want anything negative, but that's also the things that came negative and the controversy that came with this game is understandable in the respect of like, oh, this is Yella. I love this. This is really cool. I like this place because it has like a ring of asteroids around it, and I actually travel through here.
I chuckled a minute ago because Desalia said something in chat. When the Kickstarter was first announced, I had a choice to back this or Chronicles of Illyria. Looks like I backed the wrong one.
I read that too, yeah. I didn't Chronicles of Illyria I think was one of those games that I saw like the previews or teasers, whatever you want to call them, and it looked interesting to me, but it didn't like capture me enough to where I was like, oh, I gotta try this out.
So, do you want to get into controversies this early in the stream, or do you want to keep talking about the game?
I want to keep talking about the game for now. We can
okay.
We can get into the juicy stuff later. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to. What's the word I'm looking for?
You want to front load it with negativity.
Yeah, let's leave that towards the end. We got the preview for, we got to preview the player Idris. It's a flying 4-story FPS map. The Idris, the Idris was standby. Idris.
So this is what I was talking about with the atmospheric haze. I really like the way they did the atmospheric haze in this because
oh yeah,
I'm kind of like super into like a masking level of details, like LED loading in distant objects, and the more creative ways people can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm always kind of like super excited when I see a really neat fog effect or something in the distance, which I mean most people don't even think about. But to me, the atmospheric haze in these shots looks like real atmospheric haze, like what I would see like hiking up a mountain or something.
Yeah. No, that's a big thing for me too here. So I noticed a couple vehicles and stuff that were parked outside this this area that I was about to go over to.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like that's another thing I like when you're by the way, the Idris, holy shit. That ship looks really fun. It's a fucking boat. But yeah, everything from like you said, the atmospheric haze and the clouds. There's a shot that I have on here when I'm finally like towards the end when I'm leaving Area 18 on ArcCorp, which is like, so each planet has like a main city. ArcCorp is essentially like the Coruscant of Star Citizen because it's just like a giant city planet. There's no vegetation or flora of any kind. And that's what's kind of cool about this is like, my wing. That's another thing. Like my wing hit that little thing sticking out, that little marker sticking out of the ground, and like there were sparks there for a second, which was really cool. Um, Little details like that I like. Um, it's not like, that thing just clipped through the wing or anything, or like just phased through it or whatever. It's like, no, there's a thing here. You're gonna hit it.
Yeah, I really do like little stuff like that, and talking about that and the atmospheric haze. I know it sounds like most players aren't really going to be looking at this kind of stuff, but like I like it because it makes me feel like the game developers actually care
Mm-hmm.
about the game and not just the artist, because a lot of artists care and they really want to put a lot of work into the games that they work on, myself included. But sometimes you get into situations where the artists are underappreciated and they're not allowed the space to add those little flourishes, like the sparks coming off the signal and things like that.
Yeah,
So I'm always a huge nerd for that kind of stuff. It makes me feel like the developers give a shit about their artists.
I agree. Yeah, and if anything, the way I look at it is, so like when it comes to uh like I'm nowhere near uh a game developer or anything like that. I make music, and I do graphic design as well. But when it comes to like when I make something, whether it's a song or a design for something, it's the little details like add up to a bigger a whole in the end. Like it's not just you make one big thing and boom, it's there. Like no, you have to have little things, little details that come up as a whole. Another thing I like, speaking of little details, like there you see the
Water
water.
droplets.
Yeah, and you can actually, there's a part where I actually wipe the visor. You hit Alt X on the keyboard, and that wipes your visor.
So silly, but I love it.
Yeah, it's little things like that. Like I think I do it right here. Yep, there. The little.
I can almost hear the little.
Yeah, I turned the volume down in the video editor for it, so when the gameplay audio wouldn't overpower us talking about it too much. I'm looking forward to the single player game from this engine/universe. The MMO side has a longer path to develop bespoke server tech. Yes, the Squadron 42 seems very promising, and I hope that I would actually hope that they finish and release that before they finish this, before they finish like what they call in Star Citizen the persistent universe, because I'm just really excited to see what they did with the motion capture with all of the amazing actors that they put on that roster.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Mark Strong, Mark Hamill, oh god, what's her name that played Sully in X Files is part of the cast.
Gillian Anderson.
Yes, and
Yo.
the guy that played the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones. Who else? Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
They have all these phenomenal A-list actors in this thing portraying these really interesting characters. Like Mark Hamill, I think, is a commander, and all this stuff. And I'm excited to see a story within this universe. So I agree. It's gonna be really fun. But I love this shot too. I had to travel to an orbital marker, but like you can kind of see like the rings and stuff here, and I visit it a little bit later. I think it's like right after I drop off this package. So the first mission I did was a relay repair, just to kind of show like this is what it was in the beginning. And I picked up this delivery mission to show like, if you want to do deliveries, this is kind of what you could do with it on a small scale. There's parts where you can get a big ship where you have to not just pick up a small box, but you have to get like a big tractor beam that brings in these huge what's the word I'm looking for? The things that they put on like ships. The fucking big boxes. I'm drawing a blank.
Cargo containers.
Liam Cunningham is your ship's captain, and Mark Hamill is your wingman. Got it. But what were you saying? I'm sorry. Like ship containers, like those, like big.
Like a freight container. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah. Like the kind of shit you see on the back of a tractor trailer.
Yeah.
Words are hard. So
Freighter crates, what I always called them.
tomato, tomato.
Shipping containers, I think is what people
Yeah.
call them up north.
So something like that.
I'm from Texas.
So,
We
yeah.
call them freighters.
We call them subs down here, boy. It ain't no hoagie. So yeah, this is another mining planet. This is Daymar. It kind of reminds me of Tatooine. This is really good. There's a lot of parts in this where I just kind of do like a view where I'm like showcasing like the scenery. I feel like half this game really is just like the scenery, and it just looks good.
And that's nice. That is something that I do like about like exploration games.
But but I did this mission to show like, so you can get a ship that like has a huge amount of space where you can put those shipping containers. Oh yeah, I fast forwarded this a little bit too, because like this is when I figured out like an hour ago. I'm like, wait, I could fast forward this. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then after I drop off this package, I do a little like weapons show off too.
Oh yeah.
But
There's a
yeah,
little bit of LOD issues here with some of the terrain. It's not like terrible. Most people aren't
No.
gonna notice, but I notice. Some of those cool machines.
yeah. And another thing I love is like the star that's in the center of this solar system that we're in is the primary light source. So like, and because the planets are and moons are actually rotating, there's like, a day and night cycle, and there's going to be times when you have to go to a mission at a certain point on a planet, and you're like, it's either going to be day or night over there. But I like how they add atmosphere to it as well, because there's times when like you'll be flying through a planet, and there's, like you said, there's that haze. There's like, the sun is, oh yeah, my footprints. I was like,
Cute little footprints.
little details, man. We love them.
I
But-
love making footprints in games.
Yeah,
It's
like
just so fun.
it's one of those things where like when you're playing the game, it's like, oh, did they do it? Did they do this thing? Did they make it so they have footprints?
I think one of my first mods for Skyrim was like better footprint textures.
Yep, I got that one. I got Better Bridges was like another random favorite mod of mine for Skyrim. I also like the drop off sequence here, like how it has like a little loading wheel, like it's a Microsoft like spinning loading wheel, and you just drop off the package, and it's just like little thumbs up when it's done, like, hey, have a good day. Like, all right, you too, machine. I think this was the part where I turn on my light on my suit, and the red door reflected. Yeah, this is it. You see how like when the light's on the red, and you see how,
Man, that's a better flashlight than most horror games nowadays.
right? That's how they get you. And there's like low gravity on this planet too, so like when I jump, it's just like. So I did a little bit of showing off the armor here. This is my favorite because it kind of looks like a tie between like a Mandalorian and Stormtrooper.
I think it just looks like a Quarren face without the tentacles.
Or that. But yeah, like the little details, like the bits on the straps, like the shine of the armor. And then another thing I like is when you equipped ammo clips, that's what's across my torso right there. So when I have to have extra ammo and I need it like on hand, it's right there. and you just take it off your
So
chest.
is that actually like where you pull? Like, does it
Yep.
change? Oh, that's neat.
On Evoist, they added Squadron 42 Chapter 1 and a mission manager to Arena Commander, so it appears we may get a demo this year at CitCon. Nice! I get Cylon from Battlestar Galactica vibes.
The cyclones, yeah.
So this is a railgun. This,
Oh, that's a railgun,
this,
boys.
this. Let me tell you something, there, Buckaroo. This was a moment where I was like debating, like, should I shoot it? Because it's like I think it's over 6,000 credits just for one magazine, where like a magazine for any other weapon, like a sidearm, is like 8 credits, and like for an assault rifle, a magazine is like 10 or 14 credits. But I was just
And
kind
that goes into like the whole survival aspect of it too, which is kind of appealing to me in some ways.
yeah, you kind of have to be mindful of like, okay, if I'm going out, I need to make sure I have enough ammo, I got water, I got food, because like you can see on the bottom left corner, I have a thing that shows like my temperature, and there's actually parts that show atmospheric pressure. If your atmospheric pressure is not normal, so I was like just shooting a rock to kind of show like the effect. So this is an energy pistol. This is called the Arclight pistol. There's energy weapons and there's ballistic weapons. This is an energy shotgun. And you can kind of see like the plasma.
I like that.
Yeah, and then I went into like a third person view so you can kind of see how it looks while it fires.
If I talk about the graphics, I'm just gonna keep looping through this entire thing. Like, and this is actually one of the points where I gave like one of my biggest criticisms of the game, and that's the environments themselves, like the grass and the rocks and stuff. It to me just looks like something they might have like, it's like free mega scans, rocks and grass kind of thing. Which I'm not gonna shame anybody who uses free assets on any kind of game store. I will never do that because I do it myself. But like, you know, it just needs a little oomph, you know? Because everything else in the game looks fantastic. But, you know, the grass and the rocks here could use a little bit more oomph, you know?
Yeah, but I mean like when it's like, oh man, I have to populate this entire planet with grass and rocks. It's like, I think you could get a get out of jail free card. Okay, I think this was when I decided to shoot the railgun. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's. I can't shoot all the other guns and not showcase the railgun. And this was actually gifted to me by another guy that I ran into in game, who was kind enough
nice.
to just give me this and a missile launcher. And he was like, I don't want any money for it, man. I'm just glad to have somebody to play with. I'm like, thanks, man. But the Coda is my favorite. You can see it powering up. Ooh.
Very cool. Very cool. Love it.
This
Love those
thing,
volumetric clouds.
dude. This thing, when you got some, like when you're out of your ship and you see some asshole shooting at your ship, this is like a one-shot ship. This is an anti-aircraft handgun. Like, this thing rips. And I was like, what else can I shoot? I'm like, I probably shouldn't shoot anything else. But yeah, and this is the med pen. That's your fisticuffs. But railguns and launchers are drop only now, so they are very valuable. Damn. Yeah, I remember. I think it was Grim Hex when was where you could get railguns at Scudder's initially, and then I went there earlier today, and I could. So this was another little thing where normally it does the animation of you climbing into the ship, and it didn't do that for some reason. As well as the best snipers now. So I subscribed to Star Citizen for a bit. I think there was like 2 months where I actually subscribed to it, and one of the things I got was a sniper rifle. So that's like always in my inventory, and I'm so thankful for that. That's I've had a couple bounty missions where that really I was able to take out the target without really putting myself in the rough, where they got a handful of people, like a bunch of people guarding them, and it's I put myself more at risk because like if you die in this game, like you lose a lot of your shit unless you can actually go back. Oh yeah, this was another thing. There was a server error, and I cut that out. But there was like a server error where I was like frozen in space there for a few minutes. But I went back here because I saw there was a vehicle. So I think when you see like that BM6531ZK, when you see something like that, I'm pretty sure that's a ship that is spawned in the game somewhere, somehow. And I was like, there's a ship down here? But this is an actual like cavern that I decided to go into. This is another really fun thing about this game. And those little like drill bit looking icons are like crystals and things that you can mine and sell for resources, which is really cool.
So you mentioned a few things, and that one thing I will want to say, what I want to point out that you said, you mentioned the subscriptions. I mean, I have to talk about that later when we get into the controversy stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say I did at this point when you were streaming, I was asking about like, did they use any procedural generation? And you said no, and then I was like, okay, let me look.
I said I wasn't sure because I didn't know what that meant. I was because I remember
true.
I read it and I was like, what is procurtally?
Yeah.
And I was like, listen,
then,
my
you
English
did
is
give kind of a no answer, like, oh no, they built all this, and
yes,
and I did look it up, so both of us were sure, positive about it. They did use procedural generation during development. So it is like at development procedural generation, which is normal when you're developing such massive terrains like this. You're going to want a degree of procedural assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it makes sense. But stuff like this cave is not as procedural as, say, like Minecraft, loading up a procedural cave in Minecraft or something. So somebody did actually go in and like sculpt this cave, and while the rest of the planet may have been like procedurally generated with the terrain and the grass, this cave is something that somebody actually built. And like the buildings that you walked in is somebody actually spent time to put every single item on the shelves and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I as far as my whole thing was, I'm pretty sure everything was built because the way it's all put together, how like the way they did it was they said, oh, like this is a persistent universe. Everything is as it is 24/7. Like you drop a coffee mug somewhere or a pistol or a magazine for a gun or a fucking teddy bear. You leave it there, you come back like a week later, a month later, a year later, it's still going to be in that spot.
Ultrium actually did say it in better words what I was trying to say. They use proc gen or procedural generation, including planets and rivers and real-time proc gen for ground deco. So yeah, that's normal. Wait, it wasn't real time? Because what I was reading is that it wasn't real time. But it might be. I guess it could be to a degree, especially if you're spawning stuff in. I'll look at that later. The caves are modules that are hand assembled, but they are going to proc gen them when it comes time for content fill, which is normal and when you develop such a massive game as this.
Yeah. I was under the impression that it was like, because I think it's 50 players per server, and I think like just so it's not a situation where, because I left this one area, now it's not rendering or something like that, like because like another player can come up and it's I don't know if it's like subjective rendering for the player, and then it's just like where like wherever a player is, there's just this like bubble of rendering around them. Where like, okay, this is gonna be processed and
See,
put
that
together.
gets into like server handling stuff, which I'm not as like trained in. That would be something that Dazalius could probably answer. But yeah,
Some is, some
these
isn't.
caves look so good. Why do I think the caves look so good?
Because they do. They did a really good, and it's little things like this where you go cave diving. Like I said, I found this little thing where I actually have to crawl through to get to the thing to where like
That
you
makes me
know.
so nervous.
Oh yeah,
I could never do that in real life.
there's like a part right at the end of this little hole here where like I almost got stuck. Mind you, I have a rail gun on my back. Like I should not really be able to crawl through this. Like you could see, I kind of like wedged there for a little bit. Like I was like fishtailing a little right there. But
Server
I,
meshing tech is wild, but the current servers are 100 players.
oh, there are
Gotcha.
100 now. Oh shit. I I have I at one point I couldn't really stream this. I streamed this a few times like when in like the early years when this came out. Um oh yeah, this is when I found those little things I could actually pick up. I was like, I wonder what these are worth. Turns out it was like fucking like 30 credits. Wasn't a lot.
Pennies.
But yeah. Ooh, piece of candy. So, oh yeah, this was another part. This like, so these are I think some kind of like big luminous like ore or something that you can mine in here. I didn't want to get too close to this edge because like if I fall down here, I am fucked. Like I don't have a
Achoo.
jetpack. Yeah, really. I don't have a jetpack. I don't have nothing. I don't have rope. Um, that'd be cool if that was like something they add into the game later, where you can like just hammer a rope down and then like
Little
that,
pittance, yeah.
and then you got to worry about another player coming up and like cutting the rope.
Oh, that'd be so fucked. I would be angry if somebody did something like
Yeah,
that.
like little things like that. Last week we had 500 players meshed across 4 servers. Each server was the areas around 4 planets' moons.
Mesh. So I'm assuming
Wow.
you're talking about like sharding and stuff like that of like the different layers of the servers. I see. I don't really know a whole lot about like that, like the networking stuff. Like networking was never really my forte.
Wait, so Eltrim, if you don't mind me asking, do you are you someone? See, this was another thing time that it glitched. Like it didn't do the animation; it just put me right in the ship. Um, the entire Stanton system was split across 3 servers. Wow. You fly and change servers transparently. Okay. So, Eltrim,
Yeah,
if you don't mind me
like
asking,
sharding.
do you work on the game yourself? Are you like one of the developers? Like, you seem to know a lot about it. So, like, I mean, if you don't want to answer that, I understand. If you prefer not to answer, just say so. Like, do you, or are you just like a heavily involved in the gaming community? Yeah, it's like things like this where I was trying to like inch my way out so I don't like my wing doesn't like clip a rock, and I just because I've had instances where like I just got out of a big fight and I had literally one wing and I was limping to a hangar to do repairs.
OG backer and Evo tester.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I backed. I got the like I said. I got the starter kit. I got the Aurora back then. And then I bought the this ship, the Stalker, Aegis Avenger Stalker, an ROC Grey Cat, and a Merlin. So I have a total of 4 vehicles. I think I spent a total of like, including my subscriptions, like $150, about
I
150.
really like this star map with like the different planets on
Yeah,
it.
this was one of the recent updates too. It didn't always look like this.
So pretty.
Yeah, it's really cool. This was this was one of the things they changed, as well as the inventory system now. It used to be like you always had your inventory on you, and it was kind of like not an infinite amount, but it was a lot. Like you could just carry a shit ton of stuff in your inventory and not have to worry about anything. Now, like they have backpacks, and your inventory is pretty much planet based. So if I go to a certain planet, like one of the main planets, like Microtech or ArcCorp or like Grimhex, my inventory is pretty much based there. So whatever I buy at those shops, whether it's clothes or armor or weapons or ship parts, those are in the inventory. I have to go to that planet to get through that inventory. The new map is sweet. The new ship HUDs and MFDs in testing now are better looking. Oh, that's exciting. All named locations have inventory there. Yeah, I was at one point I was actually looking for Port Olisar. I guess I don't know if they got rid of Port Olisar, or if Port. I think yeah, it was right here. I was looking for Port Tressler. I don't know if Port Tressler is the new one. I also like how they made it so they recently changed it to, so if I had to go from one planet to another that was like on the opposite side of the solar system, it said you are 42 million kilometers away, but now it just says like 42 GM for 42 gigameters. So it's like you're not reading, you don't have this huge string of numbers that's like taking up a part of your heads up display. It's just like, okay, it's this little number that I can see now.
I'm just loving that star map so much.
Port
Like
Olisar was replaced with
everything.
Seraphim Station when Crusader got a spaceport city. Gotcha. Okay. So I got to revisit Seraphim for some nostalgia.
I love the HUD. I love the ship like controls. I love the star map. I really love. Daz will probably know the term for this. The was it diagenic HUDs, where it's like you're actually interacting with an object in the real world. I don't know. There's a word for
Your
it in
guess is
game
as good as mine.
development.
But also, like, I'm
I
pretty
just
sure
mixed up
OM means orbital marker. I'm pretty sure is what
diegetic.
that
Yeah,
means.
I was right. I remembered something.
Look at you knowing things. Oh yeah, this is when I went to Grimhex. And that.
I used to love like just flying around when I was playing Eve, and I'd just go and I'd like look for different neat locations. I did a lot of ore mining, a lot of asteroid mining. I worked with a lot of the drones, so I would often just like rabbit trail off into space and find a cool like asteroid field like this, and then I'd just like throw my drones out and let them do whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say if asteroid mining's your thing, you might this might be your go-to spot. Um, One thing that really got one when I played Eve, what got me interested in playing that was I watched a video on YouTube where on Eve Online someone actually found the Voyager satellite. Like it's in the game.
Oh, neat.
And I was like, no fucking way. That's really cool. And then I downloaded Eve and I was just like, wait, this game's got politics. This game
Yeah.
has fucking economics. This has a lot.
I
I
mean,
I just
we're
want to
not
space
joking
travel.
when we say that you need a spreadsheet to play Eve. We're not joking.
It's dude, it's a lot. I was a little intimidated. I That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing it. I was just like, this is too much. And but I was also disappointed that like I liked that it was an MMO, but your character wasn't you, it was your ship.
Yes and no. You're technically like a little person in a pod that's like plugged into the ship, and
Yeah. Eve was wild. We had a war so big it broke the game around the same time the Star Citizen Kickstarter happened. Wow.
That's so
I have a
funny.
spreadsheet to track my inventory on Warframe. That's smart. I
and
played Warframe for a bit.
and this like talking about like the politics and stuff and Eve and the economics and things. That's kind of the reason why like Star Citizen didn't really appeal to me. It's not that I need all that stuff that Eve has. Like, oh my god, I don't need to go back to that. That was basically my second life living on Eve. But I really need something that I could sink my teeth into when I play a game like this. Like if I'm just roaming around in space doing nothing all the time, I start feeling like really like why am I wasting my time playing this game?
Yeah, I could get that because I get like that sometimes, mainly because it's like, all right, I already did these missions and I already did this, that, and the other thing, and I'm like, what else can I do? And it's just,
And I recognize that they've added more stuff to the game. I recognize that there's been more like quest types and stuff that they put into Star Citizen, so it's not as big of a criticism as I had early on, but it's still, I'm still not like sold on the game personally.
it's definitely a game where like I enjoy playing it solo. I've always kind of been like a lone wolf when it comes to certain games. This game being one of them. Uh, but I had a few friends that played this game, and it was so fun when it was like five of us in like a Carrack, and I had my Merlin in the ship, or like they had there's another ship that you can attach a Merlin to. It actually attaches on the outside of the ship with like a you like go all the way to the back of the ship. The ship's called the Andromeda constellation. The ship itself is called the Constellation, but then they have the Andromeda class, the Taurus class, and it's like you go to the back of the ship, and like in the floor is this little cockpit, and you just get in there, and then you detach, and now you're in this little snub fighter, and you just go out into space, and it's really fun,
I love the cute little ladder animation.
right? But it just looks great, and I love how like so on Grim Hex right here. This is kind of where I wanted to showcase how like each docking bay is different. Like this is where you said this place kind of reminds you of Nar Shaddaa in
Yeah,
Star Wars,
Narshada.
where there's like graffiti everywhere. It's kind of like it's got some grit to it, and
And I love it. I think it looks great.
yeah,
If the world just feels really empty to me. Like,
yes, the constellation Andromeda.
smatter some more NPCs in there for me.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where I just walked up to a inventory storage terminal, and then there's another thing I actually just recently figured out. I can just store my ship this way, and my ship just drops down into this hangar, and it has like, you know, oh, it's so cool. But I was in another ship. I was in a large. This is a small hangar. There is an extra large hangar, which is like as
Well,
big as a
yeah, you,
freaking Amazon warehouse that this guy he had his Carrack in and a constellation. The constellation even looked small in the hangar. And then he and then he's like, "You want to see something funny?" And he brought out his so there's one thing you can get on. Oh yeah, this is another terminal where you can if you bring in freight, that's your freight manager, and that's the freight elevator where you can like if you got a big haul of something you want to sell or trade. Um,
I love the scrapes on the paint on the floor, like somebody slid a crate over it.
yeah, like little things like that, and like the little puddles on the floor, like the reflections, the mist coming out of that vent. You know, you'll see like on little screens like that I'm looking at right there. If you look at it at a certain angle, you can see like fingerprint smudges,
It's so cute.
like stuff like that. The
Can't
Phoenix
you
variant
stow
gets
it
the
in people's
Archimedes. Interesting.
ships? I don't know.
Can't you
Can
stow
you stow
away in
it?
other people's ships in this game? Yes. So actually, I had a, I forget what ship it was, but this was like, I think in 2015. I was in my ship and I got in. Oh yeah, this is where this is a security guard, and I was like, oh, is this another player? And then I heard him. I turn around, and I heard him like reloading. Like I thought it was another player, and he's just like staring at me, and he just starts loading up his gun, and I was like, this is a no armistice zone, sir. Like, how are you? Like, what's your crime stat? Are you fucking up? Like, what? And then, wait for it. Yep.
He was just having a bad day on the job.
Yeah. So this is when he
Didn't
started
like,
shooting at me.
like your face. Didn't like the cut of your jib.
Yeah. Apparently. So, but yeah, I've had a stowaway on my ship before, and this guy was in the back of my ship when I did a delivery mission. I went from like Port Olisar to a moon. I forget which one it was or something, and I had to like drop something off. And then I get up, and there's this guy just laying down on my ground. And in chat, he says, "Hey, Dad," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, and he's like, "I'm ready for school," and I'm like, "All right, pack your things, get ready." And then I was like, I'll get breakfast ready or something. And I just fucking ended up, this guy's just being a cheeseball. So they just released that the Evocati patch to Wave. They just really wait, hold on. They just released the Evocati patch to Wave 1 public testers. They are in crunch for Sitcon patch 3.24.2. DAZ, yes, but they can shoot you without going to jail if you are an intruder. Ship trespassing system. Is that a restricted area? No, I got right out from the hangar elevator. The new hangars are also the trespassing zones, unless you invite them to your party.
Weird.
Yeah, so that but I saw the armor said security, and so I was really confused, and I had no crime stat, so I was like, what the heck? I try to have no crime stat. I try to be
A good boy.
yeah. Especially since I want to be a bounty hunter. One thing I gotta figure out is how I can capture bounties, and then, so actually that was one thing I just saw. Hold on.
Good use of lighting. Like, I like how they use the different colored lights to draw your eyes to different things, like the receptionist and like the medical sign and different things like that.
Where is it? I just saw something.
This team should make movies. What are y'all making video games for? Go make some movies.
Yeah, really. I wanted to go back a little bit because there was a part where in the reflection, there's like a puddle on the floor, and there's a reflection where you can see the light source like in the 3D rendering. So like, where is it? So right about here, you can kind of see, like you have the sign right here that's giving off the light, but then the light source itself and the reflection is just like a big green ball. You can
what's it called? There's a term for that. Like screen space reflections or something like that.
Sure.
No.
I think
it does know what I'm talking about.
I think it'd be really fun to play this game as a stowaway. Oh yeah. You can also board and steal NPC ships. Yes. So actually, I noticed one thing that they've been doing since the recent update is there's a lot of ships whenever I go to up either a port or a shelter on a planet or somewhere. There's a lot of world space light reflection.
So is it world space or screen space? Because to me it looks like screen space. I mean, it does look like there's some world space as well, but it's normal for most games.
But I think what they're doing is they're in the recent update, they're putting random ships at these spots where, because like I've tried to go in one and it says you're trespassing. I'm like, oh fuck, so let me not trespass. I don't want a crime stat. But yeah, I can.
Oh yeah.
But there's like random ships now where I can go into them and check them out and maybe even steal it. I think it was last month I was playing with this other guy that was that also streamed Star Citizen. Him and I went to this place where it's a mission that you pick up and you go there and you have to like you can get a shit ton of credits for it, but there's always a lot of players there, and it's like heavily wooded, a lot of trees everywhere, and it's this like it's like somebody turned like a shanty town, or they turned like a bunch of crashed ships into a shanty town or something, and like it's like you have to like upload this thing on a computer terminal inside and guard it while other players and NPCs are like around and trying to attack you, and also get the loot. And once you get it, you got to get the fuck out of there. But somebody blew up our ship when me and him were doing it. So he saw a big ship on the map. It's called an A2 Hercules. It's a big fucking like bomber type ship. And Ghost Hollow. That's it. I haven't had the balls to go there since, but he was lucky enough to find a Hercules, and he had to revive me at one point, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
I saw Eldrin said, what you see now is DirectX 11 hacked to the max. You're not wrong. Yeah, I did notice that there are some kind of like I don't really want to say bugs in the graphical stuff, but like you could tell that they started working on this game 10 years ago, you know, because like there's certain things that you would do differently nowadays.
Yeah, sort of like
As far
where
as graphic stuff
the
goes.
technology has surpassed the initial development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens in a lot of really big games like this. It happens in a lot of MMOs. You can look at World of Warcraft, for instance, and you could see like the evolution of all the player models. It's normal. So it's something that you just kind of have to live with a lot of games like this.
So what is Vulcan? I see Eltrim saying something about that in chat.
Oh, does it have Vulcan stuff?
You,
Vulcan was I'm gonna look it up so I'm not talking on my ass. Yeah, so it's like DirectX. It's um it's like a graphical like API kind of thing.
okay.
Say
Open source GL 3D Excel ACell
it's a rendering
library.
stuff.
Valve Steam Deck uses it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of people are using Vulkan nowadays instead of DirectX.
Hmm. Yeah, because I remember, like, I think I have either Direct 11 or 12. But yeah, oh yeah, this was a cool area that I wanted to check out because it was like dim lighting, but like what little lighting that was there, it just kind of, it was giving me like cyberpunk vibes, and I was just like, I like this. Like, I feel like I'm about to run into some Maelstrom chooms.
We love those mail boys.
Yeah, like, but like the little puddles of liquid on the floor look really good.
Alright, so tell me more about the gameplay.
So as far as gameplay, I love that you can do a first person. Like when you're in first person, it's like, you know, you see your health and your food, hydration, atmospheric pressure, all that stuff. The mini map, which the mini map on the upper left corner is a new kind of mini map that they've added in one of the recent updates. Oh yeah, this was another spot where I stopped and I was just like, "This is a cool lighting area. Let me stand here and pose." But I'm hoping that they add a when you're in third person, all of that information is still there, or you can have that as an option for when you're in third person. Vulkan can render multi-threaded netter better than DX. Gotcha. Uh, but yeah, the gameplay is just. I mean, like, what do you want to know?
Like, what do you like when you, if you were to start the game fresh right now? What would you be doing?
Ooh, I would pretty much just be running missions, and I would try to get my hands on. I probably wouldn't be able to afford a mining ship. Right now, minerals. Last time I looked at the trading console, some minerals are in high demand. So I'd probably do like mining or scrap hauling, something like that. Um,
So what you're saying is somebody who likes to play the market with minerals might enjoy doing that.
yeah, you can rent a mining ship too. Make money just doing random stuff. Yeah, it's a sandbox. So rent a mining ship, rent a scrapper, and pretty much just make your money back uh, doing mining and scrapping. um, oh yeah, here's another example. There was another example of that window right there. Let's see if I can pause it right here.
And you have the hunger and thirst. What else you got? Are there any other stats? Hunger, thirst, health. Is
Health,
there
yeah.
stamina?
You have so I notice whenever I use a med pen, there's a picture of two capsules, like vitamin or pill capsules, that show up um, in my left hand corner, like next to like my food thing if I'm hungry, or something like that. So I guess when I use a med pen, that just shows that like I'm under the influence of some medication or something, and it like wears off at a certain point. It shows like it was at 2%, 2.2%. Now it's at 1.8. Um,
Eltrium's a drug toxin level.
yes.
Hmm.
Okay, there you go.
Can
Some
you get
people,
addicted?
some people just like space trucking, cargo, station to station. Yeah, like it's you can be competitive with it. You can be casual with it. Oh yeah, I found this arcade thing here. I was like, oh god, can I play this? But unfortunately, I can't. But it was just something cool that I came across. I was like, I hope we can play arcade games play a video game within the video game, so to speak.
Yeah, you got to get that Turkey Puncher Turbo 3000 in there.
The yeah, I thought it was interesting that there was like this was a bounty office, and it's just like a mess. Some space force suits for extra hot and cold places. Yes, so like there's different space suits and armors and undersuits and everything that will handle extreme temperatures better than others.
So very survival sandboxy.
Yeah. It's just it's a space simulator meets survival meets first person shooter, and it's just it's fun. And this is one of the things you can kind of tell where it's a little the frame rate kind of drops here. I noticed when I was on Grimhex and when I was on Crusader, my frames were dropping a little bit more, as opposed to like when I was on ArcCorp or uh, Daymar or one of the other planets. Oh yeah, this is a terminal that you can go up to if you have a crime stat. You can just pay your fines and lower your crime stat. If you do actually get arrested or caught by a bounty hunter, um, you actually go to Grimhex, which Grimhex is essentially like a prison station in an asteroid belt. And you can mine and break rocks and serve your time that way. And it's usually like a couple hours or so, depending on how high your crime stat was. Um, or you can get a friend to break you out. Oh,
That's
radiation
funny.
is going to be another one soon too. Cool. Grimhex is an asteroid mining station, yes. But isn't Grimhex like where they have the prisons? Kletcher is the prison. Okay, isn't Kletcher on Grimhex? Because last I checked, I think the prison. Because I got arrested once. I did have a crime stat once, and I got caught by a bounty hunter.
So, do you want to get into the controversy stuff now?
It's around Daymar. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're an hour deep. Let's get into the.
Yeah.
Let's get. So this is actually a terminal where like this is heavy armor. This is damage reduction 40%. Um, most armors are going to be like between like 20 to 40 or 10 to 40%.
So I will say, like, really my major criticism of the game in its current state is that I feel like I would personally get bored unless there was something that really sucked me in. Like I could see potentially like the mining stuff sucking me in. I did really enjoy that a lot in Eve. I but it does kind of come down to like what is the world building like? What is the lore? Can I run into NPCs? And that's just me personally. Like not every game is going to be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So my criticisms are really personal criticisms. Like I don't really see anything wrong with the game. I mean, there's a few like you're going through the armor and stuff now, and you can see like the backside of a lot of the armor is not like actually because they only use single sided textures on their meshes and stuff, so you could see
Mm-hmm.
like through a piece of armor when it's rotating in some places.
Well, there's another thing. Well, see, that's the thing. So that might not be the case, really, because I mean, in the preview section, like right here. Oh yeah, the why not helmet. I love that helmet. It's just the why not helmet. It's essentially a glorified bicycle helmet with duct tape and a sheet of plastic. Um,
Eventually, there will be tons of NPCs, and yeah, I realize that, and that's why I said that is my personal criticism for the game right now in the state that it's in. Um, a lot of games like this will eventually add NPCs. Like a really good example is No Man's Sky. It was pretty much the same when it came out. It was very empty. There was not really much to do. It was mostly just you going around mining stuff. Now there's like aliens, and you can learn their languages, and you can trade with them and talk to them, and there's so much more to do now in No Man's Sky, and that's probably where they're headed for with Star Citizen. And I think that any game in this current state of development is going to be like that. But I have been talking a lot about the graphics of this game, and it is a good thing that the graphics are so good and that the artists are given the space to add in all those little details. But it does kind of make me worry, like how much is the like programming team doing? Like, are we gonna see more things like the mini map and like the star map and things like that? Um, it is a balance when you're developing stuff. It's like, okay, sometimes you could have your artist just like slapping out assets left and right. And so it looks like the programming team is doing nothing, even though they're working on something big, like a really cool star map. Or they'll be like, oh, a bunch of features being thrown out, like adding skills and things like that to a game, but like the graphics seem to be taking forever. And that just, it depends on the team and everything like that. But it does kind of like worry me a little bit. You know what I mean?
I get that, and I think that's a valid point where like this is still very much, you know, a pre-alpha game. And but like how you said with the meshing, where I'm like looking through the armor here, there's a part where I go to a terminal where I can rent ships, and I actually go through the different ships, and it has a similar setup where like you have the list of ships on the left, and it has like a thumbnail for it, and then on the right it has a rotating bit where it shows the ship. And there's parts where you can just see right through it. Like there's, you know, where like the engine would be, or where like the dock door would be, and it's just gone. And there's no walls on the inside. It's just like,
Yeah,
you know, something like that. But then when you actually get the ship, it's a fully completed ship, you know.
Because like if you look at the armor pieces in the inventory, a lot of them look like they're just cut off, like a bare bones mesh there at the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So more than likely, they probably just took the art assets that the artist made that are wearable by the players and shoved them into this like buying system that displays everything, and didn't really like talk to the artist about, hey, maybe you should clean up the edges on this, or and that stuff will get polished in time. I'm not really that worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Eltram says 1 hour of mining in Star Citizen is like 8 hours in Eve for profits. They have a pile of assets waiting for server tech. They let us play in the Pyro Star system instead of Stanton wants to prove
and sometimes that will happen. So it's like, yeah, I'm worried that maybe like the server programmers, like they're networking, and maybe they're like feature developers are not like they're not at the putting out at the rate that they should be compared to the artists. Sometimes that just happens depending on your teams and the way the teams work, how well the teams work with each other. That stuff happens. I'm not really that worried about it. Server bill is 6 figures. I bet. That doesn't surprise me at all for a game this big. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 8 figures. Like, to be perfectly frank.
It's a lot of cheese.
Everything is scaled down, yeah.
Yeah, you go up to the inventory inventory, what's it called? Storage access terminals here, and there's just like shit all over the floor. But then there's like dust and graffiti all over it too. Oh yeah, I fast forwarded through here. So I showed like this to show like the inventory system. I was like going through how I just bought some stuff in that store, and I just fast forwarded through this whole thing, just to kind of show like the inventory. I really like the fleet manager system they have here too. Steve versus I Small Hanger. Which, by the way, guys, I do stream on Twitch. I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to say, if you want to support the stream and you like what you see, in the bio below, we have merch and stuff, and this is pretty much my full-time gig now, so...
Yeah, and don't forget to like the stream. Put a little thumbs up down there.
Yeah, but don't just like it. Tap the like button with your nose if you can.
Yeah, and like caress it.
Yeah. Just Amazon AWS.
But my babble was basically all for me to say, like, to get to the big question: is the game a scam? In my opinion, as a game developer, I would say no. It's a game. It's out. It's playable, and there's more than nothing to do in it.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's not a scam. There are games that I personally have kickstarted like years, like decades ago, and they're probably never going to get made. So I can't really use the big S word in regards to Star Citizen. Now, I did look at the Kickstarter before the stream, and a lot of the stuff that's on the old Kickstarter does not line up with the things that are coming out now. Scam, though, questionably managed, sure. Yeah, I I use the word. This looks like a Molyneux situation. Um, I do think that like they figured out everything as they went. Yeah, yeah, and that can happen. Um, and you'll sometimes end up with games that they thought they knew a lot more going into it than they realized as they started working on it. And it's really unfortunate because there are people like me and Daz who are like, hey, maybe you should like not put this out yet. If
Yeah.
you describe this game without telling me who made it, I would probably guess Molyneux. No, don't say that.
If you describe this game without telling me who made it, I probably would have guessed. I don't get it.
I don't think that's how you spell Molyneux's name, but
Who is Molyneux?
um
Oh yeah, I loved this part. I purposefully did this shot just so we can see me flying out of Grimhex here.
so Peter Douglas Molyneux, some of the games he's most famous for being behind are Fable, Dungeon Keeper, Black and White.
Oh, I like
Uh,
Black and White.
he
I never played the
he
second
was
one.
kind of known as the father of god games, and that like you are playing as a god or like a all-powerful entity like commanding and organizing things. Um, he is a big dreamer, to put it lightly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't want to like you know talk ill of people, but there is a long running joke in a lot of the game development circles that try not to Molyneux your game. Basically, incredibly overpromise or have an executive that is incredibly overpromising and just genuinely does not understand the work that's needed to go into creating what they want. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that happened with Chris Roberts. Because, like, both Hilma and Molyneux come from a similar background, and that, what was Molyneux's first game? I don't remember off the top of my head. Uh, but he did a lot of, like, 2D pixel games. And same with Chris Roberts. Chris Roberts did, like, the original Wing Commander. So you have these old guys who have been in the game development sphere for a very long time. And a lot of those old games, like for instance Wing Commander, a lot of those games were made with what is called smoke and mirror development. Like it, with graphics, you're able to fake things that happen in the game. But now we're getting to a point where like we have more control over like programming certain things in, and yeah, it was fake in 3D and 2D. Yeah. So yeah, you can fake a lot more in a lot of those older games because you didn't have the capability to
Oh, I love this
program.
shot.
Yeah, it was really pretty. You didn't have the capability to program in things like literally flying from planet to planet in a spaceship. But nowadays, you can program that in. So, and they don't understand like what it actually takes in both the development timeline and the development process to actually do those things.
Oh man, this shot with the sunset on uh like just the I would make this like a wallpaper. And like the music, but the music when you're on Crusader and everything is just, this is like that part of the game when you fly in and this is like Cloud City on Bespin
It's so
in Star
pretty.
Wars, and it's just like, and the way the light hits those like because you're flying into a gas giant, and this is another thing I wanted to bring up in the game is in the recent patch they added this blinking light. So it before, you didn't know where the fuck the spaceport was. You had to fly close enough to where you could hail landing services on comms, and it would say, please fly to assigned landing bay. And it's like, okay, and then it shows you on the marker. It's like, then you fly towards that, and then you'd be lucky if you just made it to that, made it in time before they closed it on you, because you have a certain amount of time to get to your hangar.
They
And
use Houdini for clouds. That doesn't surprise me because they're very fluffy, volumetric clouds.
and now it's like, now they have these big bright lights when you go to these like major cities, like Orison on Crusader right here, or like in ArcCorp, they have another light like this, but it's just like a tower of those lights, because it's a city planet, so they have these like floating lights that are just up there. Oh, yeah, this is where I catch another player right here that's about to go into quantum jump, so you can kind of see him right here,
So cute.
and he just goes
Barely
zoop,
see the ship. It's
Yeah.
just a little bitty dot.
and he just does a zoom, and boom.
Shoop.
It's so cool, and that's like, I want to get like a thing. I think it was on Eve, where someone did. I saw a video. That was another thing that inspired me to get started in Eve. Was I saw another video on YouTube. One video was the one where they found the Voyager satellite, and the other one was it was like a huge group of friends, like a guild or whatever you want to call them in Eve, where it was like, I don't even know how many people it was, but it was just like dozens and dozens, maybe like 100 ships, all jumping light speed to like the same point from the same point. So it was like a huge fleet, and you just see them all go like zap 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 zap
Yep.
zap zap, and I was just like,
These
this is so
fleet
cool.
battles.
Oh man, so cool.
But yeah, and Eltrium brought up a good point. Wing Commander and Freelancer series, as well as Star Citizen. I think Robert's still trying to make the dream game as far as the tech allows. Absolutely. Both him and Molyneux have a bad habit of wanting to make the dream game as far as the tech allows, and they just don't grasp how big the tech has gotten and how much work goes into actually developing this stuff.
Oh, another thing I wanted to bring up. So we just got into this hangar. So like on Grimhex and Area 18, they're very like kind of industrial looking and like kind of like Nar Shaddaa looking, where this is very much like Camino. Like everything's bright white, soft, smooth surfaces. No, not a lot of rough edges. This is one spaceport that's actually really cool, and
It's
even
a lot
like
cleaner.
yeah, they actually Swiffer down here. Even like the doors close differently, the bay doors close differently there. And it's just cool. Like I love that, it's not like a cookie cutter game where, oh, we're at another spaceport, or maybe let's do the same thing and just render it a different color. Like, no, it's,
Yeah, I like
even
that.
the elevator buttons are different.
Even without like adding like NPCs and lore and stuff like that. That kind of the elevator. I love that there's like wood paneling on the elevator
Yeah, I
floor.
was just gonna say, like, it's the little details.
It's a tiny touch, but it makes it seem like it's leagues fancier.
Yeah, and like like you go to Grimhex or ArcCorp, and everything's just like cyberpunky industrial, and then this place is just like, oh, look at all these like flowers and
You
everything.
get the bonsai and like the banners and
And like there's a planet called Microtech, that is pretty much like Hoth, and they choose that planet because that's the planet where they have like all of their computer stuff like being made. Like instead of having a cooling system for your
They just
computer.
use the snow.
It's just a giant ice planet.
That's so cool.
It's 1950s meets 2950 with the pastel bronze colors. Yeah, like 1950. Yeah.
So now, I appreciate that they are using the art team to tell stories. I love environmental storytelling.
Yeah.
Like if you told me this space station that you're in right now was owned by like a Japanese corporation, I would believe it. Because you got the sand garden and you got the bonsais and you got like the sleek design.
You got the
of, like,
Elroys.
Japanese
you got you got the Whataburger right across the street. I'm sorry, Whammers. That's what it's called.
Whammers.
That's the name of the burger. It's fucking. They're delicious looking burgers, I have to say.
So it's like, yeah, they're definitely using environmental storytelling. Absolutely.
Yes, it was a failed
Whammers.
terraforming attempt. Yeah, all the locations and brands are very distinct in art, and that's what I like about it.
I can tell. I really would love to like rub elbows with some of the artists that worked on this because like, give me a little of that talent.
Yeah.
Why you hoarding that talent over there?
But yeah, like even the burger looks good. Like,
I would eat that.
right? Like while I was playing this, I'm like, damn, I really want a Whopper right now.
But it does make me understand why people like use the big S word. Like I still don't think it's a scam at all, but I can understand why people would be upset if they're like, why am I holding this hyper detailed burger, but there's not like more NPCs in the game?
Yeah, and
Like,
it used
it's
to
a fair
be
criticism.
so it used to be. I used to walk through a port and there would be like NPCs standing there in a T pose with their legs clipping through the bench. You know, like things like that. But it's
So would you rather have
getting
like
better.
a bunch of T-posing NPCs, or would you rather have like a fancy burger, you know? You gotta kind of like pick and choose what it is that you want from a game like early in development. And I know I keep saying early development, you keep saying early development, and also at the same time, in the same breath, saying 10 years of development. But it is, you know? Like, how many years did Skyrim take? Like 8? Like that, it's getting to the point where like some of these larger games are just gonna take a decade to make.
yeah. I mean, like Skyrim was another one that had a lot of hype and we waited a long time for. PETA, what's up, man? PETA's talking. I'm streaming on both Twitch and YouTube right now. Space game and scam equals Star Citizen. So PETA, we were just talking about that. Bethesda says Starfield was 25 years to make. So
I don't know. I don't believe that. I'm sorry, Bethesda. I don't believe that. Maybe 25 years to get the engine the way you wanted it. With all the
nice
different
try,
games at
Todd
once.
Howard. But
I think that's a little bit of a stretch there, Bethesda.
But yeah, PETA, we were just talking about that. We're kind of into that part of the segment of the stream at this point where we talked about gameplay. We talked about you know the game. Your kids will play the Star Citizen in beta. At this rate, I don't think so, man. Like the past few updates they've been making a lot of headway. Like that's another player that I'm walking behind right now in this game.
Yeah.
So, by the way, this is a pre-recorded video that I made earlier. This is actually a part where I was talking about where I go up to a part where I can rent ships. Where I was talking about like, you know, certain angles where you turn it, you can see the inside.
Yeah. Now, I did read something earlier. I did read, it was, what was it? I can't remember what gaming article it was from, so, like, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But they did actually have a statement from, I think it was a senior director, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. It wasn't Roberts, it was somebody else. But they were saying that, yes, there is a 1.0 roadmap. It is in front of the teams. We are working for it. So, and that was like in March. So there is a lot
Oh,
of
this
teams
is
in
one
the
of those
tunnel.
ships I was talking about with hauling a bunch of like. So it's a freighter.
I love that.
And that's a light
big,
freighter.
bulky design. So you could actually like say, hey, you know, will it end up being like a No Man's Sky with 1.0 release? I have no idea. I really can't tell you. I don't think so. I think it is going to be a little further off than No Man's Sky was, but
See, but I think one of the biggest selling points that they had for this game was that they wanted 0 loading screens. So, oh yeah, this is another cool ship. So there's actually alien
so
ships that there's ships that use alien technology. So like we're gonna have, you know, parts of the game where like there will be alien beings and stuff. This is a freelancer that I actually had. I had one of these for a while. That's another
fan convention at the end of the month. The 1.0 roadmap is rumored to be revealed. I hope that they reveal it because, like, I went and was looking for it and I couldn't find it, so I'm assuming they haven't revealed it yet.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. With this is a ship that my friend has, the Carrack. This thing is huge.
It's very phallic. Sorry.
So like the ship that I fly is pretty much the size of that, like the glass on the front. Like that's how big that ship is.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's ginormous. Yeah, this is when I was just like kind of running around and.
And you said that there was a subscription.
Yes, so you can subscribe where you get monthly. I believe it's like X amount of credits that you can get in game, and oh yeah, this is another cool thing. Like different transports on different planets. Like some of them are a train, some like a subway type thing. Some of them are like transports that just like fly around like this. It's really cool. But
Go back to the subscription.
I know. Sorry, I get distracted. I'm like, ooh, floating balloon. The subscription though, you get like X amount of credits per month, and then you get access to a different ship each month as well.
Is that ship obtainable in game?
Yes. But
so they
not,
just give it to you.
So you'd have to like probably spend close to like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of credits to rent it for a day. But you get it for free for the month.
For the month?
Yes, and it's a different ship each month. You also get.
I can understand why people are really angry about that.
But it's not just that. You also get like I have different armors and weapons and stuff that like I will never lose.
Like you okay? So I could some people may not have a problem with paying a subscription like that, but the vast majority of players do have an issue with if the in-game currency, if you have to bust your ass and spend several hours in game to earn that in-game currency, but somebody else can pay like $20 a month, get free currency, get a ship that, you know, people have to rent that they can get for free that month, things like that, it feels really unfair. And like I understand, like as a game developer, when you make a subscription service that is actually funding the development of your game, your subscription has to kind of be a little bit unfair, but you should still frame it in a way that it's not as unfair to the people that can't afford to pay it. And right out of the gate, the currency getting given to people, I'm not a big fan of that. I understand why a lot of people are not a big fan of that.
This was, sorry, ADD, but this was another part of it. The thing where I was like, oh, like the cherry blossom petals falling, and like this part of the area of this map was cool.
And another thing about the subscriptions is that I did pull up the Kickstarter, and one of the first things they said on the Kickstarter was that it would not be pay to win, and there would be no subscriptions. This is the original Kickstarter. So, once again, I understand why people are angry and using the big S word. It's just, but at the same time, and this is another, like, you could also argue that it's tricky to do Kickstarters for game development because you don't actually know what's going to happen in game development that's going to cause you to need to do a subscription, to need to have pay to win aspects in it, because you might just get to a point where you are literally like rolling out of bed in the morning, working on a game, you know, busting your ass on it and making almost nothing for it.
Yeah, I get it. What's it called? Let me scroll up here real quick. Let me catch up the chat.
Crowdfunding, there's no Microsoft backing the bills. Yeah, absolutely. It's not like, and this is another thing about Star Citizen. It's really not a AAA game. I know a lot of people.
It's a quadruple A game.
Well, typically the term AAA refers to like these huge like corporation-backed games that are like have like thousands of people working on it. Mm-hmm. I know that there's some people that argue like an exact number that needs to be working on it before it can be called AAA and blah blah blah. Let's be honest, the AAA term is kind of muddy at this point, but it's actually a pretty small team with a pretty small budget. And I think the game looks really good for the size of their team. I'm sorry. Like, I really genuinely sympathize with the people who are really disappointed with this game. Just like I super sympathize with all the people that are disappointed with Starfield and, you know, were disappointed with Skyrim and, you know, disappointed with Witcher 3. Like, I get it. I get that you have certain expectations, and many of them are valid expectations to have. But like...
But do you feel like you can also sympathize with the people that are actually making it, with like the amount of people that are working on it and with what they've done with it so far?
Absolutely. Like, I can definitely see like all aspects of it. And I understand like people like you that are just like, oh, I love this game. This game is so good. Like, I get it. There's been games that I've played, like, I will literally praise Graveyard Keeper until the day I die, but that game is far from perfect.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about this. Like, I still get people that to this day say like, dude, why are you playing that trash game? Like, you know, it's fucking terrible. I'm like, because I enjoy it and I have fun and I like it. That's.
Is it trash though? Is it though?
And I'm like, yeah, to me it is. And I enjoy it. And I love this part right here when I got on the ship and there's like dim. It's like, like the fucking lighting right here. I'm just like, I have a job for you. Tell no one of where you are going. Like, but I want to catch up with. I want to catch up with chat real quick though.
Absolutely.
As far as the subscriptions, Eltrium says. It's a way to fund the game if you don't want to buy ships, and you get digital goodies and rental ships free each month.
Yeah.
And you can rent them in game or buy them in game. PETA says on Twitch, Star Citizen shouldn't be asking for any. Shouldn't have to ask for any funding. They are hundreds of millions over what they asked for.
True,
and
but
then,
also they have 6-figure server costs.
And Eltrium says subscribers do not get currency. So I was wrong. Wrong on that. I thought they did. That was my mistake.
That does make me feel a lot better if they don't get currency.
It says Daz sends RuneScape does it well. I think there are members areas and items that cannot be used in free areas. They do have VIP lounges and stuff for like big backers and everything in this game as well. Eltrium says they get rental credits in the area, in the arenas. That's what they get. So there's a arena thing, which is like a what's it called? It's like a PvP thing. They have arena for ships, and then another one for like player versus player, like sort of like Call of Duty. Like it's just you and a bunch of other people on a random map, and you're just taking turns shooting at each other, like two different teams, like a very Call of Duty, Halo type vibe. And then there's like a space combat version. When it releases, they want it to be no subscription, but it's crowdfunded, so there's no
Yeah.
Microsoft backing to back in the
Well,
bills.
that's good.
We voted on a wall of features and put our money where our mouths were.
Nice.
PETA on Twitch says, "Who was disappointed with The Witcher 3?"
There's somebody out there disappointed with some game. I genuinely don't understand. I can sympathize with people who don't like The Witcher 3, but like, you know, it's just, I personally don't see any problem with it.
Fair enough. Eltrim says, the big issue was when we voted... Oh yeah, I was doing this to showcase the afterburners here. I thought it was really cool.
It's pretty.
I love the afterburners on this ship. The big issue was when we voted to delay Squadron 42 to make the engine and MMO first. I was in it for the single-player game and was mad at the other backers because we
Gotcha.
had to wait a long time for results.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Kickstarter, this game was going to be single-player on Crytek when the budget was $50 million. So that's what it is. So
they're not using Crytek anymore at all?
they developed their own engine called I think it's called Star Engine. So they've
Gotcha.
developed their own engine at this point. And it was originally going to be a single player, and now it's like they have single player and multiplayer mode. Like I said, they have that the arenas where it's like Call of Duty, Halo type, you know, player versus player combat, and then they have this big universe, which is where we're in now, the persistent universe they call it.
Yeah. And it's very No Man's Sky. The reason why I'm not motivated to play Star Citizen is the same reason why I'm not motivated to play No Man's Sky. I mean, I'm more motivated now that they've added like the alien languages and stuff in No Man's Sky, but you know.
Yeah, this is one of those games. Oh, I love this shot here. This is above Crusader, like on one of like the
It's so cute.
like either the North Pole or South Pole of the planet. But it's just like I was lagging a little bit here, but
Star Engine is a port of Open 3D Engine / Lumberyard. Lumberyard. Open source fork of Crytek Amazon made when they bought them. Well, I mean, I'm glad that they're building off of Lumberyard. I mean, it kind of comes with the name, you know. You really shouldn't use Lumberyard as is. You should build something with it. Sorry, I'm not gonna shit on Lumberyard. It's not a bad engine. I just have a lot of issues with it personally.
PETA in Twitch says, "I am dead tired. I finally get to sleep in tomorrow. I'm off to bed." Dude, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. Rest well, my man.
They gutted it and made it a 64-bit engine. Good. I'm glad. That's how the map
I
scales
wish
are
I could
huge.
stay up and hang out. Nah, man, you're good. Get some rest. I understand. That's how the map scales are huge.
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much need 64-bit engines at this point if you're gonna do anything that has online stuff or anything that has open world.
Why stop there? Get 128-bit engines.
And like, I am glad to hear, Eldrim, I am glad to hear that they're planning to go no subscription once it's in the 1.0 state. That does make me feel a lot better. And I also sympathize with the people who are saying, like, I sympathize with the people who are saying they've taken hundreds of thousands of dollars already. Why do they need any more money from us?
Oh, look at this cloud
I get
over
it.
here. This big ass cloud. Hold on.
It's cute.
And this is what I was talking about earlier with the space station having those like lights. It's like, hey, it's over here. I'm like, yes. It's so much easier
Yeah.
to find now. And then I
But
just
at the
decided to
same
do a couple
time-
barrel rolls, because why not? Do a barrel roll.
Well, actually, that's not a barrel roll. That's was it an alien roll?
More, I don't know about y'all, but I could really go for a sashimi roll right now. Maybe a California roll.
as good as Houdini clouds. Poof.
Yeah.
Houdini is a really good like little system for making volumetric clouds, volumetric like smoke of any kind. It's great.
And then like
A lot of people.
the raindrops on the windshield.
Yeah.
And this is another big
raindrops,
thing. Like
that's
I
still,
love
stuff
that I
in
have to.
Cyberpunk.
I love that
I'm
I have to
sorry.
hail comms, like hail landing services on comms. That like little things like that is another like big immersive thing for me. The OG backers called me alarmist when I said the platform vote would make it take 10 plus years to make a finished game, and here we are.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Y'all laughed at me. Y'all laughed at me.
I
told
do
you.
think it would be smarter to do something smaller, and I really also appreciate that they left a lot of the features up to voting on them, because one of the biggest criticisms I saw early on about Star Citizen was feature creep and feature bloat, and that's understandable when you are molyneuxing a game together. We don't want any acorns that grow into trees. We just want a game to play.
Oh, it's so pretty. Permission to land like a dainty butterfly. Permission granted.
It got silly though. I was like, say something for the DLC, right? Yeah, you gotta say some stuff for the DLC.
But then again, like, do you I grew up where there was no DLCs. Like when you got a game, it was a finished game, and it was there were no DLCs. Like there might have been a patch here and there to fix a bug or two, but like there were rarely any bugs or like when I was back in like Nintendo 64, PlayStation
There's a
2
reason.
days.
If you think about like old console games, a lot of them, once you had it in your hand and you were playing it, like on Nintendo 64 or whatever, the game was done. They had already done all the testing that they need to do. They fixed all the bugs.
Oh god, my
I mean,
huge inventory haul here.
There are still bugs. Like if you take 5 minutes to go watch speed running, you'll find out that a lot of those N64 games had a lot more bugs than you remember.
Probably.
But most people aren't going to encounter a lot of bugs in those old games because they didn't have like as much technology behind them as they do nowadays. And nowadays there's still polish that needs to be done. There's still they are still updating and working on Cyberpunk and making it a fully like polished game. Mm-hmm. And it's been out for what, 5-6 years now.
Yeah. Modern game companies spend a lot less on QA than they used to comparatively. Yeah.
I mean, they maybe comparatively, if you like think about like scaling and technology scaling and development time and things like that, you could be right, absolutely. But also at the same time, there's only so much QA you can do on a game that takes 10 years to develop, you know? Like, if a game takes 10 years of development, do you want to spend 4 years of QA testing? Not really. So in a way, I kind of understand that. And also, now that we are in basically the digital era of video games, people are going to use us, the consumers, as QA testers.
Yeah, that's another thing. I remember I had a friend who used to be a beta game tester back in high school, and I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, you're testing the game before it comes out, and it's like, now it's like, oh, this guy. I was like, oh, you got a little captain in you? And they stood up on the thing. I'm like, that's too much captain. Too much captain. Tone it down. There you go. There you go. Less captain. Just get a little captain in you, and that's it.
Glitching all up on there.
Oh, man.
And like, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you know, us consumers are paying for your game. We shouldn't have to be doing QA testing. And it's like, yeah, but do you want to wait for the game for like 3 or 4 more years? Or do you want to do some QA testing now? Because That's what you're paying for, you know?
I honestly would
There's a
rather, yeah, I would
trade-off.
rather have the latter than the former. Like, I'd rather, instead of just waiting around, you know, I would like, it's kind of nice seeing it, like, where it's at.
Yeah. I personally don't mind playing early release games. I don't mind paying for early release games as long as the price is lower than it's going to be on release.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's one of the things I did for Graveyard Keeper, for instance. You know, like I like doing that. I feel like I'm supporting the developers. I'm helping them with QA testing. Now, it does piss me off when developers are like, well, we're not going to take your input on the game because we want it this way and blah, blah. Dude, if you didn't want our input, you shouldn't have put it out early in early release. Yeah. We'll fix it after we ship. And normalize work in yeah, and that is, you know, I don't want to go on a big long rant about capitalism here, but you know, that's kind of the society we live in now. Mm-hmm. We are going to be consuming work in progress products in order to get them out faster, and that's just how it is. You know, we can put our money where our mouth is when it comes to games that are just like shit, frankly. Like, which is the reason why a lot of people are like, I'm not gonna pre-order Cyberpunk if this is the way it's gonna come out when it comes out. Mm-hmm. You know, and it made CD Projekt Red go, oh shit, we did a bad job of putting this game out there. We have to fix it. Like, we did actually, as consumers, vote with our wallets in that regard, and it made it a much better game. And I think we should keep doing that. We should always push back against that, but also at the same time, you know, cut some slack.
This is my favorite part of the whole game, which is this is Area 18, and this is like the most Night City area.
It is.
I love this part. I love this area of the game. Area 18 is this is why it's my home. I love it.
Did I see a naked man run by, or was that just a...
yeah, you see that sometimes. It's like they're in a hospital gown. It's like, oh, I died. I gotta fucking go run to an inventory storage access terminal so I can get some gear. Yeah, you see that a lot.
So I think I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say. Like, I think I gave a generalized coverage of like the other controversies. I don't remember anything that like really stood out.
Yeah, I think we gave our honest opinion. And
I mean, I'm brutally honest.
Which is the only honesty we should really be accepting, don't you know? The whole game in itself right now, I feel like, aside from, was it yesterday I was playing, or the day before? I was doing a bounty mission, and I fell through the map, and I was just falling down, and I was like, I could see the underside of the ground and everything, and I'm like, well, fuck.
Well, that's probably just a server issue, honestly.
Yeah, like little things like that. And mind you, that's like the first time that's happened since, like, you know, maybe 2020 when I was playing this a lot too. And so it doesn't happen a lot, and it's not bad enough where like I'm carrying a lot of gear and I'm just like, shit, well now I lost everything. Now it's like it's like I can just go do like another mission or something and then get my money back and get my gear back, and that's it. It's when I lose like so there's a couple of helmets that I have, like the one I'm wearing right now on this character, that is an item where, so if you like buy stuff with in-game currency and you die or your ship gets blown up or you whatever, like, all that stuff's lost unless you can find your body and loot it. You're not getting that stuff back. But if you bought something with like real money, like if you got something with a subscription or you got something that you purchased as a backer, or you know, whatever. Like if you purchase it with real money, it's gonna you're not gonna lose it. But if actually, let me rephrase that. You lose it, but you get it back in the next patch. You get it back in the next update. Where I think it's Eltrim, you could let me know if I'm incorrect on this, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the opposite or the other way around, like where if you bought it with real money, you can get it back. Like my ship, if my ship blows up, like I have to do an insurance claim on it, and then like I wait 5 minutes, and then my ship I can get my ship back. But if like I bought a ship, oh, this is my favorite. Area 18 takeoff during daytime. Look at these clouds, baby. Going through the shelf.
Love it.
It's so
Good.
good.
Houdini clouds. Oh, the layering.
Right? Mwah.
Yeah. Was it Houdini and Speed Tree are like the two things that if I see a game has them, I'm like, oh yeah, this game's gonna look pretty.
It's a... Ships are insured, but it's a timer to wait. That's right. Things you buy with cash are restored each patch if you lost it. That's right.
Yeah, I chuckled earlier when Eltrim was like, Cyberpunk and Starfield cured my pre-order habit. Absolutely.
100%. I didn't pre-order Cyberpunk though. I think I
pre-order it.
I think I lost my lust for pre-orders with Star Citizen, and like the whole idea of having something that's not complete, you know.
I honestly don't remember if I pre-ordered Cyberpunk or not. I feel like I didn't.
I think you said you did, because didn't you say you got Phantom Liberty with it because you pre-ordered?
Oh yeah, I did. Maybe I did pre-order. I'll have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure that I did. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, this game is pretty.
Yeah, I would say I've backed so many Kickstarters that I will never see the game of. So I'm so glad that the people that backed Star Citizen can actually play the game. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not like... And I know that's such a low bar. I really shouldn't say that.
The little contrails on the wingtips.
Yeah, I love it. Well, at least they put a game out, you know?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a bar to set.
Honestly, yeah, it shouldn't. But, I mean, comparing it to how it was... Oh, this is the bounty mission I picked. This was the last one I picked up before I decided to call it quits. What's it called? Brain fart. Fuck. What the hell was I just talking about?
I don't know.
Crap.
I was watching you fly through space and.
I know, me too. And then I got distracted. I'm like, ooh, ah.
ADHD brain.
Oh yeah, this is when I picked up the bounty mission, and
yeah.
I was gonna call it quits, but the that's right. Comparing it to how it was back when like it first started to now is just worlds difference, and I feel like yes, there are parts where I like you said, I sympathize with people who are upset about it, especially those who have like done thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because there are people like who have done tens of thousands of dollars. And it's like, you know, like they're getting nothing out of it so far. And I mean, you look at it as an investment, really, I guess, but...
Yeah, but should we, though, you know? Like... that does kind of like bring up like an argument that I do kind of, I would love to make a video on, like, should we consider, crowdfunding as an investment? Should the bar be set at, hey, at least I got something from the Kickstarter? Like,
I mean, it depends. I think it all depends on like how much you've invested into it and what you're getting out of it. So
Yeah.
like me personally, I've started out on this is back when starter ships were actually $35. I think they're $45 now. But I mean, that's also because you're getting a lot more when you download this compared to back when they were. Oh yeah, this is the missile launch.
So, are the paying for starter ships, is that going to be a feature when the game is fully released?
So I don't know. Actually, I'm assuming it's going to be something like when the game's actually out, rather than buying a starter ship, like you just buy the game and then you might have a starter ship that you can choose from. And it might be something like the Aurora or the Mustang or one of these other starter ships.
Because I personally don't know how I feel about that.
I think
Like paying for a starter ship. How much is the game?
Who knows? I mean, I'm assuming anyone who's backed it, like they get it for free. Like we already have the game downloaded right now. It's just like whenever it's finished, like we have it. And whatever ships we have, we have. But for those who haven't been backers and haven't invested, it might be a
45?
different story.
Eldream said 45, so
It
I'm
is gonna be
assuming that's how
45.
much it is.
Okay.
So if it's $45 for the game, and then you pay another 45 on top of that for a starter ship, I can definitely understand why people would be salty about that. Because like if you're gonna pay full price for a game,
Well, I
45
yeah,
for all
yeah. I think what he's saying is like you just pay 45 for the game, and that's
for everything, including like the starter ships.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, that's different then.
I mean, comparing to like something like Call of Duty where you're paying like $70.
And you don't have to spend anything after. Well, that's good. That's good. Because I was under the impression that you had to pay for the game, and then you had to like payroll money for the ships.
Oh yeah, this was
I also know.
this was a cool detail that I liked about this, where I'm fighting, I'm
dogfight?
I'm hitting this bounty, and like I guess like when I first approached him, I launched this missile at him, and I guess it like disabled one of his engines or something, because the way he was flying around was like not good, and the way he was like flying right here, I hit him with another missile right here. And I think that kind of like crippled him even more. And there's a part where he's like kind of fallen a little bit, and he hits a ridge.
I'm definitely seeing the Wing Commander influence in this game.
Trying to find it, like where it was. Come on, where is it? I think it's right here. Yeah, he's flying down, and then he hits that ridge right there, and he clips it. Oof. And he like spins around a little bit, and I just love it. You buy a pilot's license and a ship you like, yeah.
So I guess I'm just really confused as to like how like buying the game goes. Like, is the game free and then you pay for the first ship, or well, what are we talking about here? I need a rundown. I need a full detailed rundown.
So the starter ships that you get are like ones that are like don't have a lot of firepower, don't have a lot of like hauling space or anything like that. They're like $45. He says the ship that I'm flying right now, which is, I think it's an Indictor class, or Interceptor class, whatever. I think it starts with an I. But it's $70 of in IIRC, which I think is real life currency, like in the Avenger Titan is a popular ship. It is an interceptor, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love this ship. I know there's a different class of this ship that actually has an EMP, which I probably should have gotten that, but I think it didn't have the holding cells in the back, which is what I wanted because I wanted to do bounty hunting and capture bounties.
So looking at the website, it looks like
Arlock.
buying a starter ship is buying the game.
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of a pay for your start for the game. I don't hate that. It's a little weird and different, but I kind of don't hate it.
I think it's fair.
Because, like, if you want to, it does feel a little like pay to winny. But at the same time, if they're ships you can get in the game without paying more money, like, it's more like pay to start on a better foot.
Kind of. If it says starter game package, that's all you need. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I was getting from this. I don't know how to, I'd have to like ruminate on that for a little while to figure out how I feel about it.
I mean, me personally, I spent, like I said, maybe like total. I spent 35 on the starter initially when it first came out. That's how much it was, and on top of that, I got this one which was 70, and then I got an ROC Grey Cat which I think was 25. And
So now, I do have a question.
and a Merlin which was 15. So I've paid roughly, like, including subscriptions, maybe like 175-ish over the span of
Gotcha.
like the past like 10 years. But I'm not complaining.
So-
Like I said, I enjoy it. I have fun with it.
And if the subscription are going away after the game comes out, then it's not going to be as much. So you're still kind of like paying for development at this point. So like, I'm really on the fence, honestly, like about it, because like I understand why people would be angry, but I understand what goes into development.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of the biggest things that I heard, and you and I'm not even sure if I'm saying your name right, dude.
Ultrium?
Eldrium is just what it looks like to me. But you and Eldrium can correct me about this. Is it true that they were selling ships before the game even was playable?
I think what they were doing was they were selling ships before it was playable with the promise of you'll be able to play it when that ship is available in game. And I think there are still some ships that people have paid for that are still not playable in game, but I think there are also ships that people have paid for that are playable. Yeah.
As pledges. So Eldrium says as pledges. And that's just from the Kickstarter. You get a flyable ship in Leu until it's done. So if those ships were from the Kickstarter, that's not a big deal to me. I can understand promising in-game content through a Kickstarter. There's a lot of games that have done it in the past. Started there, but they sell ships for mad money. So they did and are still selling ships that are not in the game.
Yes. He's also said, I don't know if you read this part, but in November is a ship show and free fly week where you can test all 130 ships that are playable vehicles for free.
but you still get a usable ship as a loner. I mean, that's good. I'm because like that was one of the big like controversies that I saw a lot of people saying early on, where it's like, oh, this is basically like a crypto scam game where like they're selling stuff and for a game that's not even made yet. And if it's through a Kickstarter, I feel like that's more forgivable. But if they're still doing it, but they're also giving loanerships, I feel like that's forgivable too. You know, like, I don't want to sound like a fence sitter, but I really don't know how to feel about that. Because, like, instinctually, I want to say, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. But also at the same time, I can't understand where they're coming from. Only spend money if you want to pay the dev bills, and that's all it is for crowdfunding. Okay, yeah, because that's what it seems like to me once you actually explained it to me. Mm-hmm. But from what I understood before I had it explained to me, obviously, I was wrong in that perception. It, like, what I thought it was, is not a good look. But
well,
I don't want to sound like I'm just like, you know, giving up the goat for and like betraying all the people who have criticized this game, because I've criticized it too, and still am, and still will. But I'm kind of more on the dev side at this point, and the people that actually genuinely like the game.
thanks, man.
Well, because like I get it, you know, I understand.
Their plan for long term is the single player game sales will help pay for the MMO side.
Yeah, that absolutely. It will.
He goes, "Oh, I do all the time."
And yeah, I think you should. And I criticize the hell out of Cyberpunk. I live and breathe it. I love that game so much. I'm still working on a mod for it as we speak. I am also working on a fan project for Cyberpunk. I live and breathe that game, but I also will criticize it to hell and back. And I feel like I criticize games that I love more than games that I don't love. The devs want our feedback. That's good. More devs need to like actually want the feedback. And if the devs are more open and receptive to feedback, they'll get a lot more people who want to be sympathetic towards them, and less people who are just like, I hate this game, you know?
And more people are willing to back it.
Yeah.
If you that's one of the things, like, I just look at it as an investment. I truly enjoy this game. I have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of times when I've rage quit and was like, fuck this game, god damn it, fuck stupid thing, and just monitor window. And but I honestly think the pros greatly outweigh the cons, and it's fun, man, and it's literally everything I would want in a space simulator. And I am such a sucker for anything involving space. Like, even, or we're talking about this on the channel before with John too, how when it comes to like film, cosmic horror, sign me the fuck up. I don't care if it's a cheesy B-list movie or if it's like an A-list, like, you know, like theater stuffer. Like, it's just, give me space. And
I'm not a big fan of Nicolas Cage, but I absolutely love The Color Out of Space. It was so much fun to watch.
I haven't seen that, but we might put that on the list of things to watch. It's cool, but not ready as a main MMO game. I keep an eye on it and sample on it like brewing wine.
Yeah.
I don't want to be done and burnt out when it finally launches. Yeah, that's fair.
It does have promise. I don't feel like what they have of the game right now
That's
is a
exactly
dead.
how I've been putting it. I've been saying it since day one. The game
Hmm.
shows promise, and I think it has a lot of potential to be one of the best games in my opinion, because the whole no loading screens thing is great. Like playing Starfield, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get in the ship and just take off and go. Like, all right, and I could build my own ship, awesome. And then I'm just like, oh, loading screen. Like I just walk up the ladder and then it just does an animation or so. I don't even think it did animation. I don't think it even did a cinematic cutscene. It was just like, okay, now you're in space. And even like certain parts of the planet, like I feel like in Starfield you couldn't really explore a planet where like just not that long ago I was cave diving, you know, and there's like I can literally drop anywhere on a planet, anywhere I want, and just walk around. And I can drop something there and put a marker on it, or write down something like somewhere where like, okay, this is where I was, this is where I dropped this item. Come back and it's still gonna be there.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Um, Eltrium said the potential in unseen scales when we back it good.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that you guys stay on the devs and like criticize them for dumb mistakes they make. Because like as a game developer, I like that. Like I may be like, you're being mean. I put so much love into this game, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, clearly I know what I need to do and what I not need to do. You know?
Mm-hmm. If it fails Wall Street doesn't get hurt, EA or Bethesda don't get hurt. The crowdfunded backers that were tired of industry slop do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So actually, I just did something in the game in this video where I'm not 100% sure. Eltria, maybe you have the answer for this. So when I log out while laying down in the bed on my ship, and then I come back online and I log back into the game and I wake up on my ship and everything. When I log out, my ship's not there floating in space where like somebody can just come up and blow up my ship. It's not like in Rust where like, you know, you sleep in your base or wherever and, you know, people can come and like kill you and loot your shit and then you got to start all over. Like
Yeah, because I was under that impression too.
there's a menu item where you log out when in bed. Yes. So when you do that, your ship's not just out there. Like when you log out, you're not out there. Like your ship just kind of like disappears, I guess, right? I'm assuming. It's not like while you're logged out, people can come onto your ship while you're asleep and then like kill you and loot your body and steal stuff on your ship.
It wasn't testing, but realized players were too mean. Thank you, devs. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Cause like nothing pisses me off more than getting killed while I'm not in the game.
Yep. Well, I mean, hey, we're at 2.5 hours now, so I mean, we went through the whole video, and I think we crossed all our Q's and dotted all our lowercase J's.
I mean, I can't really think. I feel like I covered all the major controversies and you answered all my questions, and Elytrum answered questions that you didn't have answers for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of maybe gonna put this on my to watch list.
Fair enough. He says we are getting base building that will be for that type of warfare. Interesting. Persistence
Persistence.
after logout is a cool idea, but only in a SAO scenario. Was that SAO? Where everyone is trapped inside the game 100% of the time. No, not Sons of Anarchy. I'm dumb.
What is SAO in this regard? I feel like I.
Sword Art
Oh,
Online.
Sword Art Online. Yeah.
Never played it.
I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I've played so many survival games where that's a feature in the game, and it has been terrible every single time, unless the community is like a really good community.
Yeah. But well, it's an anime and a game, isn't it? I think. Right?
Is it just a game, or is it just an anime, or is it a game and an anime?
What is
I don't know.
what
I'm
what is it? What
behind.
is what is what? What is what?
The game looks pretty. The features are neat. I'm excited to see what else that they put into it.
Me 3.
And is it a scam? No, absolutely not. I don't think it is. Could they have
I
managed
concur.
it better? Maybe. I mean, every game could have been managed better.
Yeah, I always tell people wait for Star Citizen free week to see if it's up to your likes, or wait for the finished single player game.
That's
When
good.
is free week? November, I think. Eltrium had said it's an anime, but it does have its own game. See, Raven,
Huh?
Raven knows that that's her.
Raven.
That's her bread and butter right there. Them their animes.
Yeah, I need more anime friends.
Raven might be your gal.
At least once per quarter in major patches. Ooh, that's good. They should definitely do that from time to time. They should probably do like a once the game is like fully released down the road, years from now, and they're done like doing major patches, they should do like oh, it's anniversary week for Star Citizen, so it's free week for everybody to play.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. You can play for free in November. Every quarter, um, at least once per quarter, and major patch, they do a free week where anybody can, as long as your computer can run it, you can play it for free for a week. Because it is a very demanding game.
November is the Detroit Auto Show where you tour halls of ships and rent them if you want. That's funny.
Nice.
I don't hate the game.
Don't hate the game, hate the player. Right? That's how that saying goes.
So you want me to hate you then? That is?
No,
Okay.
no, I kid. Um, we call it the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. That's a fitting title. Yeah. So in the spring is Fleet Week, aka Military Ship Show. Nice.
Cute.
Yeah, I'm
I
slowly
kind of
getting
like
back
that.
into this. So like I've been playing this more and more lately. I'm getting more into it. I've been really wanting to do a review on this game for a while, especially with a lot of the controversy on it. I might take bits and pieces of this stream and chop it up and put out like a shorter video rather than just having
Absolutely.
a 2.5 hour. Um, but I guess that's it. Ratsu, thank you so much for joining us today. This was fun.
I'm
I'm
Thank
really
you for
glad.
having me.
Thanks for coming and thank you for the insight and everything.
Kind of
Anybody
sold me
who
on the game.
yeah, I'm glad I did because it's something I enjoy. And anybody who's watching, please like and subscribe. We do this every week, and we review games, review movies, and we're gonna. Last week we did our first gaming stream, and today was kind of like a live broadcast of a recorded video of a game. We'll probably do more recordings of this. I want to get John, my co-host of this podcast, to play this with me. I think he would really get a kick out of it, and I think he would like it. We'll probably do like free week. We'll get together and we'll do a thing where we just fly a bunch of ships and maybe
Oh
do a
yeah.
community thing. I do stream on Twitch. My user is Steve versus I, SteveVersusi. So check me out on there. I'll be streaming probably Star Citizen on there. We also have a Discord. Go to Instagram. Generally Admitting is our Instagram, and just check us out there. Our link in the bio has our Discord, everything. I made a TikTok account for us as well, so I can like put up clips and shorts and stuff like that. I really want to get more involved in Star Citizen again because I've been slowly falling back in love with it, and I really enjoy it. And I think that's it. If you guys want to support the channel, we have links below where you can support us directly. Super chats on YouTube and donations on Twitch. They take a cut, so if you want to support us directly, it means the world to us if you do that. It means even more if you buy our merch. We made our own shirts and all that fun stuff, so we have all that's in the link. And but what really means the most is that you're just here. Like, tips and donations are not mandatory, but they're welcome and appreciated. But the fact that you're spending time here talking to us about the things we enjoy and all that fun stuff is much more valuable to us. But this is our full-time gig. This is our job right now. I literally have no no job and no money and no car right now. So this is my full-time thing. So if you guys want to support, it's appreciated. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And that's it. I love you guys, and see you next time. Peace out, Girl Scout. Okay, bye.
Bye.